This is Hiring on All Cylinders, live from HR Tech. Hello again, podcast land. Rob Stevenson here again for Hiring on All Cylinders at HR Tech. We are coming at you again, non-stop barrage of episodes here. This is like a podcast machine gun, just one after another after another. It's been insane. Thank you so much for sticking with us this far, and we are going to continue bringing the ruckus with amazing guests. The next one is Lance Haun. He is a practice leader for the Starr conspiracy. Lan, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, no problem, Rob. Glad to be here.
How's the show going so far for you?
It's going good. Getting towards the end of it here, so that's nice. The marathon is coming to a close, as
exactly,
they say.
Yeah. Winding down a little bit. Still got
That's
one
right.
more half day tomorrow.
Yep, that's
and,
right.
We're kicking off that day with a session that you were a part of. It's a general session,
Mm-hmm.
which is exciting. The ideas and innovators in HR. And that's first thing at 8 o'clock. What are you going to be talking about in your session?
Yeah, so it's a disrupt style session. So it's 5 minutes, 15 seconds a slide. Everything auto advances on its own, and I'm going to be focusing a little bit on AI, recruiting, robots, all that good stuff, and kind of what I've learned about it from watching movies. So bringing in references to Star Trek, RoboCop, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Way.
Yes. Yes.
What's the 2001 reference? It's my favorite movie of all time.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So basically, So it's basically how you can't trust AI until you've really tested it, and obviously HAL 9000 as part of that movie, totally killed everybody on that ship except
Spoiler
for
alert,
for Dave. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So yeah, if you haven't seen that yet, in the last 40 years,
Import the candidates, Hal.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Lance. I'm afraid I can't do that.
That's right. Yeah. So it's a fun presentation. It's light, but I mean, we try to have a little fun at 8 o'clock in the morning on the last day of HR Tech,
Yep.
And I'm starting off, so it should be a good time.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. That's one of the more exciting ones that I've heard covered, so that's going to be great. And you have an all-star lineup along with you. Trish McFarlane is there, Jason Seiden from Brand Amper, Ben Eubanks of Lighthouse. It's going to be an awesome
Yeah,
awesome
I mean,
session.
if you think of it that way, I'm kind of warming up for those guys, so they're getting the crowd sort of warmed up to the idea, and then, get the real rock stars in front of it, right?
I love it. Hype man slash sci-fi apologist Lance on
Yes,
tomorrow
exactly.
morning.
There you go. Absolutely. Just gonna let my nerd flag fly.
Absolutely, do it. So you have been taking meetings all day, all week, probably with various analysts, CEOs, back to back to back.
Yep.
What kind of stuff have you been talking about?
Man, what haven't we been talking about? I mean, I think especially talent management is changing a lot, but I think when you look at talent acquisition, it's one of those things that there's been a ton of investment activity. There's been a ton of change to sort of the stacks that people are using in their organizations. I talked a lot to a couple practitioners actually who I was just kind of asking them what are you using in your organization? And they're like, one of them told me they were using 6 different recruiting type pieces of software. One guy told me he had no idea how much recruiting software he was using. He's like, I have probably dozens. He had a really large organization, but he's like we do just kind of a regular review of it just to see what's working and what's not. But other than that, I don't have any idea. And I was like, that's kind of shocking.
That's yeah. If you don't know, then that's too many, right?
Probably
too many to count.
Probably a few too many. Yeah. So it's really interesting just to see. I mean, obviously you go out on the show floor here. It's massive. It's closing down right now, but I mean, it's just amazing. How many different products that you see out there that are touching this particular space, and
yes.
it's one that's of interest to me. So I've been focusing a lot on those conversations and just learning a little bit about how analysts, CEOs, practitioners are all kind of making sense of this market, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the Starr Conspiracy is putting together a pretty comprehensive talent acquisition report.
Yeah.
What's that going to cover?
Yeah, so 2017, we're going to be doing a talent acquisition brandscape. And so what that basically does is it kind of sets out a market map, a universe for sort of how we see the talent acquisition market, talks about specific trends as well as sort of the brands to watch. And so we're a marketing agency, obviously. Our specialty is looking at those the industry positioning of organizations, how well they're branding, what their messages are. So I get to judge how well you're talking about your organization.
Sure.
And really kind of align those organizations with sort of those future trends. So understanding a little bit about where organizations are going from a product development, a marketing standpoint, and really aligning that with, okay, we see these 5 trends sort of, impacting recruiting. How well are you aligning with that? Or are you falling behind other
Okay.
organizations. Yeah.
So can you give us a sneak preview? What are a couple of the trends?
Sure, a couple of the trends. So we look at predictive as sort of one of the big trends. So big data, predictive. Putting that data to work. So I think last year at the conference, and the last couple of years at the conference, we heard a lot about big data. I think really where you see a lot of action, at least this year, and a lot of people talking about it, especially in talent acquisition, is really that. Putting that machine learning, big data to work in AI to help basically hopefully get better hiring results, maybe get suggestions for the types of candidates that you should be considering for jobs, those sorts of things. So that's one big trend that we're seeing a lot of things kind of coalesce around, and then sort of the evolving role of the ATS. So that's kind of another big trend that we just see becoming a big question of how do people see the role of the ATS shifting? Is it going more towards a CRM type of thing where you use that kind of as your own sales force, or whether you're using it just kind of as a process back end for, again, all these tools that you're tying into it. You're really using it as just kind of your what I'd call like a recruiting system of record, and that's basically all you use it for, is basically to track that process. And then you've got front end sourcing and job distribution that's kind of built into those systems, and then you've got sort of the back end assessments and video interviewing and all those sorts of things that are helping you make better decisions, and you're really just using that. So I'm really interested. I mean, like we're kind of just tracking those. 2 of 5 that we'll be using for that report.
So then, what's the best use of an ATS? Ideally, maybe who's to say, right? But is it?
What do we know?
For whatever organization, should they evolve? I guess to be like a Salesforce size CRM, or should it remain? Let's monitor our candidate pipelines and let's have it help us out with interviewing those kind of processes, and then leave it there.
Yeah, I think recruiting, almost more than any other function in HR, is really focused on getting the best of breed for, even point solutions. So you look at solutions that, help you maybe source candidates, or you're looking at solutions that help you assess whether somebody's going to be a good fit for your organization.
Yep.
You don't want to use the second best or third best solution that's a good fit just because it's built into an ATS. So I think, for really aggressive, proactive, progressive talent acquisition organizations, you see the tendency to go down the route of, we're going to use our ATS as a backbone. We're going to get the best ATS that helps us manage the process as best as possible. But we can't be afraid to tie in these various systems as long as it makes sense, as long as it aligns with where the organization's going. We fully support it, of course. But I think that's kind of the direction that we see a lot of organizations feeling very comfortable taking.
I love it. The session is the general session first thing tomorrow morning. Lance Haun is the practice leader for Starr Conspiracy. This has been great. Thanks so much for sitting down and chatting with me.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.